The Newsline.
We are proud to bring you another video loaded with vital information. In this segment, we unravel a deeply significant development unfolding in our beloved Sri Lanka, a development connected to the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Those who have followed us for some time already know this. Members of parliament representing the Muslim minority in this island nation have been relentlessly demanding a ban on Israeli tourists visiting our land. Among them, Mujibur Rahman has now taken things even further. He has sent a letter of demand to the Honorable Anura Kumara Dissanayake, President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, a move that was covered in detail by the Daily Mirror on August 1, 2025. In recent weeks, the government made a forward-thinking decision to revitalize Sri Lanka's tourism sector by waiving visa fees for travelers from 40 countries. This policy is vital for a nation struggling to rebuild its economy. Under the leadership of the Dissanayake administration, Israel was rightfully included among these countries, based on merit, data, and the strength of our bilateral relationship. This inclusion stems from several facts. Israeli tourists have long contributed to the flourishing of our eastern coastline. Israel and Sri Lanka maintain strong diplomatic ties. Thousands of Sri Lankans work in Israel, sending back valuable remittances that support families and stimulate local economies. This is the fruit of a healthy and respectful relationship between two sovereign states. However, this wise and strategic decision has become a thorn in the side of a few radical voices. Mujibur Rahman and others driven by extremist Islamic ideology cannot stomach the presence of Israelis on our soil, even though their presence strengthens our economy and our nation's global standing. In his letter, Mujibur demanded that the president revoke the free visa policy granted to Israeli citizens and instead extend it to Palestinians. He claimed that maintaining the current policy would condemn Sri Lanka to the trash cans of world history, simply because it allows entry to Israeli soldiers, whom he baselessly accuses of committing genocide in Gaza. Such rhetoric is not only absurd but dangerously inflammatory. Though he attempts to frame his argument as one of national honor, it is unmistakably fueled by deep-seated religious hostility, not genuine concern for the dignity or interests of the nation. Mujibur constructs a deeply misleading argument. Israel, like several other countries, including the United Kingdom, mandates military service at the age of 18. Military training equips citizens to defend their homeland, especially ones surrounded by hostile neighbors. This is not a crime, it is survival. Even members of the British royal family, including Princes William, Harry, and Charles, have served in their country's military. Israel, a small country with limited geographic depth, must prepare all its citizens to defend its sovereignty. It is constantly targeted by surrounding enemies, many of whom are driven by Islamic extremism. That is the reality. Israel does not have the luxury of outsourcing its security to foreign armies. A nation contributing immensely to global advancements in agriculture, medicine, defense, and technology must still prioritize its security. Yet Mujibur and others like him, who hide behind religious rhetoric, twist this necessity into a smear campaign. Their demands are not based on national interest, they are rooted in dogma and hostility. The government of Sri Lanka was elected by its people, not by sectarian lobbyists. National policy must reflect the will of the majority. It must be rooted in what benefits Sri Lanka, not what appeases radical fringe groups. Mujibur's demands do not reflect the voice of the average citizen, they reflect the agenda of a select few who want to hijack national policy for personal and ideological gain. Let us also address Mujibur's absurd suggestion that Sri Lanka offer free visas to Palestinians. The truth is clear, Palestinians fleeing Gaza are not tourists, they are refugees. The current visa waiver program applies to tourists only. Nations like the UK, Canada, and Australia are now facing the consequences of welcoming unchecked refugee inflows. Crime, especially sexual violence, has spiked in many areas, linked directly to unvetted migrants. Sri Lanka must not follow that disastrous path. Mujibur's plan would turn this nation into Sri Lankanistan. Rather than offer visas to potential radicals, perhaps it's time to offer free one-way visas to those like Mujibur who are working against Sri Lanka from within. Let them relocate to Gaza or anywhere else that aligns with their ideology. Mujibur also invoked the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, claiming it makes every Israeli soldier a war criminal. What a farce. Netanyahu, like Vladimir Putin and even Sri Lanka's own Rajapaksa family, may have an arrest warrant, but where is the international outcry about them? Western leaders continue to meet with Netanyahu. No country has banned Russians or Sri Lankans from entering. This is selective outrage, nothing more. Let us also recall that we have already revealed, backed by evidence, those institutions like the UN, WFP, and UNRWA are not neutral. They are often manipulated by factions aligned with Islamic terrorism. These agencies have long lost credibility due to their blatant double standards and political agendas. This is not about justice. This is about Mujibur's personal vendetta against Jews. That is the truth. His selective outrage has nothing to do with human rights, tourism, or economic policy. It is religious bigotry dressed up as activism. Mujibur claims 127 Palestinians have died of starvation, with half being children. Yet he provides no proof. No photos. No videos. No names. If this is true, let him produce the evidence. Let the world see. Until then, we reject his claims as propaganda. He further accuses the Israeli Navy of blocking humanitarian aid. What he deliberately leaves out is that these so-called ships were in fact small fishing trawlers, typically between 15 and 30 meters in length. A vessel of that size can carry no more than 10 to 15 people and only a token amount of supplies. In comparison, actual humanitarian aid ships span 150 to 400 meters and are equipped to transport hundreds of tons of cargo and relief personnel. These trawlers were symbolic at best, not serious relief efforts. Meanwhile, Israel facilitates the delivery of over 100 fully loaded aid trucks into Gaza every single day, over 80% of which are looted by Hamas and sold at inflated prices on the black market. That is the real reason Gaza's civilians are not receiving aid, not the Israeli Navy. He alleges that Israeli forces disappeared journalists aboard these trawlers. In reality, they were detained briefly and returned safely to their countries. We challenge Mujibur to dispute our sources. We stand ready to defend the truth. Let it also be made clear, anyone with a genuine intention to deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza has legal and safe avenues to do so. Aid can be flown in through internationally coordinated channels or handed over through established border crossings. Attempting to cross international waters in undersized trawlers is not a humanitarian act, it is a calculated provocation. These activists and so-called journalists are not trying to help civilians, they are trying to get intercepted by the Israeli Navy. That interception is exactly what they want. It creates headlines, triggers outrage, and fuels the propaganda machine designed to portray Israel as the devil. This is not aid. This is theater. And Mujibur Rahman is echoing that script word for word. Mujibur, you may have been deceived, but those who deceived you cannot deceive us. No one can honestly believe that you are unaware of these facts. This is the true face of the false propaganda associated with Islam, the so-called religion of peace, compassion, and truth. In reality, deception runs deep in the DNA of radical Islam. Therefore, let this be a clear reminder to you, while you may find a handful of Sri Lankans willing to act as useful idiots for Hamas, the majority of Sri Lankans are not idiots. They have not taken to the streets, not because they are blind or foolish, but because they are tolerating your behavior and the behavior of others like you. That tolerance, however, is not weakness. It is restraint. And restraint has its limits. In conclusion, we urge the government to take real action for national security. Ban the burqa, not Israeli tourists. Denmark has already taken this bold step, recognizing the burqa as a threat to their internal security. Muslim citizens in Denmark are required to follow Danish law. In Sri Lanka, it must be the same. There can be no room for parallel legal systems. Sharia law has no place in a sovereign state governed by one law for all. It is time to investigate what is being taught in madrasas, in Muslim-only schools, and in certain mosques. This is not religious freedom, it is ideological warfare against the state. We promise Mujibur this: when the time comes, we will expose everything that happens under the cover of religion. Sri Lanka is a sovereign nation. It will never be bullied by radical ideologies. The people of this country will rise to defend their dignity, their land, and their future. The soil of this island is sacred. We will not allow it to be defiled. Let it be known, Sri Lanka stands with truth, not terror. We choose progress, not propaganda. If this report helped you see the situation on the ground clearly, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to People's TV, where truth has no agenda, and facts speak louder than spin.
Subscribe us for more details.